Hi everyone, welcome back to TechRill. If you are new here, this is the destination for deep dive into GitHub Copilot, GitHub workflows, and how AI is transforming developer productivity. Today, we are taking a look at one of the big announcements from GitHub Universe 2025, the custom agents. This is the second video in our Universe 2025 series. In the first video titled GitHub Copilot Mission Control, Assign, Steer, and Track Your Coding Agent, we discussed about how GitHub introduced the concept of mission control, a unified workflow orchestration area or a cockpit for developers to monitor agents. Especially the steering activity redefined the way developers work with AI. With the steering, we are completely collaborating with agents. While the agent works on an activity, you can steer the control. You have the complete control of changing the task and activities performed by the agents. Please go ahead and refer the mission control video for more information about how to steer your agents, coordinate multiple agents from a unified cockpit. Along with the mission control, at Universe 2025, GitHub announced the custom agents, specialized AI coding agents configured for your specific workflows. In plain terms, you are not looking for a generic Copilot coding agent doing everything for you. Instead, you can now build agents for your planning activities, brainstorming, architecture elements, code review, performance tuning, accessibility areas, etc. There are 4 kinds of custom agents. You can configure custom agents at enterprise level, organization level, repository level, and at an IDE level. Right now, only few IDEs like VS Code Insider support custom agents. Today, our focus is only organization and repository level custom agents. Most of the generic agents like the planning agent or the architect agents will be defined at org level so that multiple projects can use that agent to complete their task. The generic agents defined at org level will be placed under the .github repository. Those who are new to .github repo, this is a specialized repository in your organization, a single .github repository which hold almost all kind of template. If you have issue templates or code of conduct files, license files which can be used across the organization, we place them into .github repository. Similarly, for distributing a custom agent across the repositories or across the projects under your organization, define the custom agent under .github repository. The path is under .github, create an agents folder. Under that, place your agent file. Agent files will have the extension of .agent.md and it is available for all repos in that organization. When it comes to a repository specific agent, it may be an agent for refactoring a specific area or pertaining to your requirement. Then it should be defined under your repository .github/agents folder. In every repository, we place our workflow files, issue templates under .github. Even the Copilot coding instruction comes under .github. The same place your agents.md file for custom agents pertaining to a single repository. Let us look into one of the agent. Here under .github, I have defined an architect agent. This is an organization level agent which is used for defining different architecture diagrams or artifacts. So the code will be like you need to provide a name, description, and then the instructions. Here I have defined the role of my agent is a senior cloud architect who can provide the strategic or architecture guidelines for my project. An important guidelines that this agent should not generate any code. The sole responsibility of this agent is to define architecture design and documentation. And the output will be in a architecture.md file format. And specified the list of required diagrams. The system contains component, deployment, data flow, sequence, and other relevant diagrams. Along with that, as an architect, most of the time, if it is very complex architecture, we start with a phased approach, maybe an MVP targeting a lesser complex architecture, then take it into the complex way. So that also captured here. The phased development approach, the complexity is high, then go for an initial phase with a focused MVP and a final phase also. Each diagram should be explained in detail and the structure of documentation, best practices to use, and again some of the guidelines for my agent. You are a senior architect, not a coder. Every diagram should have a clear and comprehensive explanation. So this is the complete definition of my agent. Don't worry about the complexity or the long instructions set. This one is also generated by Copilot coding agent only. So we have this agent. If you want to make it for a single repository, you can define under .github agents, just like design agent. I just copied exactly the solution architect agent code here. And this is the path you can place repository specific agents. So this is not playing a role. Here we have a demo repository with a functional spec. Functional requirements for a library management project. This one also generated by Copilot coding agent as part of another POC. The functional spec is ready. Now out of the functional spec, we are expecting to generate our software architecture diagrams. It's a lengthy functional document with 1420 lines of code. Going to the mission control area, we have selected our repository and the senior cloud agent. The agent is also selected and our requirement is to generate the architecture documents based on the functional specs, passing exactly the same prompt to Copilot coding agent while selecting the repository and our custom agent as a context here. You have an option to select different branches. In our case, we have only main branch, so we selected that one. Passing the prompt to our custom agent, immediately Copilot agent generate a PR and start working with the help of our custom agent. The PR creation is in progress and we have the initial work in progress PR ready with the original prompt capturing the requirement of creating a architecture documentation based on the functional spec. Our custom agent completed the development of our architecture documentation. Let us navigate to the corresponding PR or the branch to understand what kind of documentation prepared by our custom agent. In this case, I am moving to the branch containing Copilot changes. There are two files. One is the summary file indicating what exactly this architecture document, versions, revisions, detailed complaints and everything. And the actual architecture document with a detailed executive summary talking about high-level architecture highlights, then started the system context diagram. A nice diagram providing the library details in terms of different actors, the system, external system configuration and everything. From an architecture overview, it's defined the presentation application and database layer. Then comes the component diagram, which shows the internal and external component interactions in detail. Detailed explanation is provided. The deployment diagram faced an error due to the mermaid syntax, we are going to fix that error. Right now the deployment diagram is using a CDN reference as part of the relationship settings. We will fix this browser CDN relationship with a proper static information that will fix the error with deployment diagram. Now you can observe how nicely the deployment diagram rendered the client device, CDN, and the load balancer for the different API systems, and it's used the Redis cache for the caching purposes and talks to the databases using either SQL or PostgreSQL, and log analytics and metrics and alerts are captured as separate entities. This is the detailed deployment diagram. Enough for consideration in terms of scalability, maintainability, and everything is captured. The data flow diagram start from the client layer, that's a web browser, hit the interpreters and route through the load balancer into the system and end at the SQL layer. And the key data flows associated with the data flow diagram is explained in detail using sequence diagrams. This is not the actual sequence diagram. This is completely related to the data flow, how the data flows from each layer. These are the actual sequence diagrams generated by our custom agent. One of the best experience from custom agent is the sequence diagram. It covers all the workflows in detail, more than sometimes a normal developer or the architect draw the sequence diagram. It's captured the different end scenarios or exception scenarios as well as part of the workflows. We have a couple of sequence diagrams with a detailed explanation. Then comes the ER diagram, the database schema diagrams captured with all the primary key, foreign key relationships and everything. As the system is little complex, custom agent defined the initial phase and a final phase. Initial phase doesn't have a load balancing. It's a simple deployment into a three-tier approach. And the limitations with the initial phase is also captured. The basic search and limited to 100 concurrent users due to the fact that there is no load balancing. And it's defined the migration approach to move the phase 2 or the final phase. Defined different NFRs and the metrics associated with each NFRs. This can be considered as part of your development phase. Also, different risks in terms of technical, operational risk are captured and the mitigation plan. And the specific technology stack for the backend, database, caching, infrastructure, and DevOps. It specified the next steps in terms of implementation or development, testing, etc. And a nice appendix with a glossary, reference document, and the document control is added. To summarize, custom agents within GitHub Copilot represent a major step in moving from general purpose AI assistant to specialist teammates. With this announcement, GitHub is saying that we are not just giving you a powerful tool, we are giving you the mechanism to embed AI as a first-class developer tool within your workflow and your organization. What you can do next is review your team's workflows and identify the opportunity for defining custom agents. Pick one pilot agent, define its config, test it on a real issue or PR, and get the feedback. Build your internal agent library that will help the entire organization to scale better. I hope this video gave you a clear roadmap for how to leverage custom agents with GitHub Copilot. If you found it useful, give a thumbs up, subscribe to TechRill, and hit the bell so you won't miss the third video in this Universe 2025 series. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep coding smarter with AI.